Welcome back to the channel. Since the last video got as far as taking the front end apart, I proceeded to start preparing to take the gas tank off, and that's kind of where I messed up. As you can see, I messed up pretty bad. I was in a rush to drain the fuel tank while I was still on the bike instead of closing the petcock, removing the tank, and draining it outside. Long story short, while the gas was draining into a gas can, I was working on other parts of the bike with a lighter. The fuel had overfilled in the gas tank and spilled on the floor, which I didn't realize, and that caught fire and spread throughout the garage. As you can see, the whole house was pretty much damaged with smoke damage, just like the kitchen right here. The laundry room and the garage were pretty much destroyed completely. At this point, I really thought that I was going to end up scrapping the bike. When I took a look at the bike in this state, I fully expected that it wasn't going to be worth saving. I also wasn't really concerned with the motorcycle until I at least got some things figured out with my renter's insurance and the landlord's. I put the front end of the motorcycle back together because I had to move it to a storage unit that I rented out to put all my parts and stuff. And at that point I decided to see if I could get the motorcycle started because even though the wire harness was burned, it seemed to be intact, and I just wanted to see if the engine would run. And to my surprise it did, and you guys can hear it. A few days later, once I got the motorcycle to the storage unit, I decided to assess the damages and decide if I should rebuild the bike or to scrap it. I had spoken to my insurance, and since I have liability only on the motorcycle, they told me they wouldn't cover a fire. I reached out to my renter's insurance, and they said since this is considered an automobile, they wouldn't be able to cover anything auto related. That would include any parts I had for the motorcycle, any car parts I had. The only thing they would be willing to cover would be all the tools I lost. After looking everything over, I realized that damages to the motorcycle weren't as bad as I had originally thought. Luckily, the ECU wasn't damaged. It was behind all these fuses and wires, so it was protected. The fuses and the wiring obviously got really damaged, as you can see. Most of all the other things were just surface burns, like the gas tank right here. The front end, the forks, and the front wheel were in a different section of the garage that didn't get burned, so they weren't damaged at all. After taking a look at everything, I realized that there weren't that many extra parts that I would need to replace. Most of the damages were to things that I was going to replace during my bobber build anyways. The only extra parts that I would have to replace are the wire harness, the battery, the belt, tires, most of all the rubber pieces, and that's pretty much it. Everything else was going to be replaced anyways. Later on, I did take the motorcycle to a mechanic who looked it over, and they didn't see any issues with the engine, the frame, or any of the very important components of the motorcycle. The right side of the motorcycle was pretty much undamaged at all. There wasn't any burn marks on the paint, none of the rubber pieces were burned or anything like that. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where I will start rebuilding the motorcycle.